welcome to Office Collecting and Office of Collecting and Design, OCD. As you can see, the owner who runs this has some collecting issues. She also says that I like to call it as the Museum of Miniatures, and she says, no, it's the Museum of Lost Items. I was like, that's even cooler. But Jessica will be leaving us early tonight. She is getting ready to go hike Mount Kilimanjaro. So she's training, and she hates every minute of it. But if she doesn't come back, this will now be our Office of Collecting. We haven't told that to her yet, but we got the key. Thank you, everybody, coming out. This is our last of this season's intimate evenings of poetry at Office of Collecting. This last season, we did themes, which went off really well, and we're stoked to be doing it. But before we get into poetry and all of that, I just want to start off by saying my name is Shwa Laytart. Most of you know that, but for those who don't, my wife is Sugar Laytart, and let's give her a big round of applause because this is really, she is the producer of this. She doesn't like talking in front of people, and she knows I can't stop talking in front of people, so she puts me in the front up here. But she does our flyers. She does the promoting. She's the one reaching out to you. I am a consultant. She just asks me things and then does whatever she decides is best. Really, this event and everything we do couldn't happen without her. So, Sugar Laytart, everybody. So tonight's theme is fear and loathing. So I was trying to think of how my poetry could fit into that, and I realized I got some dark poetry, some fearful stuff, at least for me. And usually I try and add a little sarcasm to my work, but tonight I think it's not going to be as silly, funny, dark, just some more emotionally dark stuff. And my first poem this evening is it's called My Crippling Addiction. And of all the addictions I have, the one that I think is the hardest, that haunts, is the hate. Hate just creeps up, and usually it's just in my head. I have scenarios with family that I just end up being upset, and I just fight them in my head, and I don't know why. So this is the poem kind of about my addiction there. My crippling addiction. I'm a pacifist. Peace, love, unity, harmony. I have to focus on this. I have a debilitating and crippling addiction. It's haunted me since I was just a little one. I know it's there, and I try not to give in. Before I realize it, there it is. When you have an addiction, it's like having a friend that gives you some love, except when you need it. I do understand addiction so well. It's a teacher and a lover and a comfortable hell. And like teachers and lovers, we have so many in life. But the one I can't shake that causes the most strife. This teacher, this lover, the worst addiction I have. Well, before I go on, I want to make sure you understand. Addictions are deeper than what's in each hand. Not all addicts lose control. Most addicts hide it deep in their soul. That addiction I can't shake is the feeling of controllable hate. Getting frustrated and angry is an addictive fate. I won't give you details, this is all I will tell, so that I can focus on being emotionally well. If you're like me, this you should know. Addictions can be controlled. Because if that weren't the case, I'm a pacifist. I'm a peace, loving, unity, harmony. I like to keep meditating on this. Thank you. right, so tonight we're excited to have some of our favorite poets, but we're going to start off with a newbie. And I'm really excited about this poet this evening, so please help me give a warm welcome to Aaliyah.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I love this intimate space. This makes me feel like a star. I told my parents, I was like, this show is sold out. I didn't know it's 12 seats, but I mean, it's sold out. So did I lie? No. So my name's Aaliyah. I was born and raised in both here in Inglewood, California. I've been told by many different folks I've lived many different lives, and I have. So my poetry usually touches on that. When I got the theme of fear, I wasn't quite sure how to wrap my mind around it because I'm an Aries, so I don't really fear anything. I fear failure, but I mean, I can't fail. So I was thinking more, spiders are scary and things like that. So I really had to dig deep when thinking of what genuinely scares me. And this first poem was created through the fear of not being chosen by other people. I felt as a child, I've always been an option, being one of 8 siblings. I was a choice. So that's sort of what this poem touches to. So we make decisions every day between a plethora of things. What to wear, where to go, how to act, and what to think. At a salon, we choose a style for our hair. When we get dressed, we choose the clothes that we'd like to wear. When we drive, we choose if we want to take a shortcut or take the longer route. We choose if we feel like cooking or if we prefer takeout. When there are so many choices, why would we limit ourselves to one? God gave us free will to choose, and as humans, we find that to be fun. But in a world full of choices, it's sometimes hard to choose what's right, especially if that choice changes the trajectory of your life. We all have to think about the plethora of things and what we've done. And life is full of options, but I can't be one. Like, if you got to choose between me and her, I'm taking myself out of the equation. Because when it comes to picking me, there shouldn't be any hesitation. My energy commands the room. You should know what I'm about. So if it's between A and B, I'm going to see my way out. So I'll never be in the middle because I'm meant to lead. So if you have any questions of choosing me, it's not meant to be. Like, if you have to decide if you want to be with me or you don't, here's a news flash for you. I'll make the choice and you won't. Because there's too many people willing to give me their time for me to be waiting around for you to make up your mind. People love me because my presence is popping and I'm hard to be forgotten. And I'm way too dope to be somebody's option. Poem. My next fear, I didn't realize until I became older. Not really older, let me not say I'm 25, but like a couple years ago, with intimate partners, I felt as though they only saw me for my body. And I don't know if being a woman, I don't want that. But I know I'm way more than what my body can give. And that became a fear of mine, being taken advantage of. So this poem is called My Body is a Temple. And this is dedicated for the people I let inside of me when they probably had no business even being beside me. So, is my body not a temple, like a place to admire and stay? Instead, you use it as a vacation and then vacate. Is my body not a temple? You worship it but not me. Let's just say you weren't praying when I had you on your knees. In a temple, you're supposed to come clean and pure. Instead, you have ill intentions, making me feel insecure. Pray and worship to the things on my body you observe. We have sex religiously, so is my body not a church? Is my body not a temple? Hell, I'm built like one. I had you singing my praises and even speaking in tongue. Do you not bring me gifts and flowers like a shrine? Or do you just think I'm an easy lane with dinner and some wine? So why is it me after sex feeling unwanted and temporary when you were just singing my praises in my body like a sanctuary? You prayed to get me and you did, but you won't pray to stay. Instead, you take my name and my body in vain. I was damn near ready to sell my soul just to feel whole, not knowing my body was a temple and treating it like just another hole. So again, I asked for myself, is my body not a temple? Poem. Now for the loathing, I'm a history teacher, so I had to like Google the definition. I don't deal with that term a lot. And then I saw it meant hate, and I do hate a lot of things. So this one was easy breezy. Yes, I loathe a lot of things. And it sort of balanced between the fear and the loathing. I didn't realize until having adult conversations that I feared being sensitive. And now in my adulthood, I really do loathe it because it's seen as a weakness. Of course, I'm stepping into my power, and I know that is my greatest strength. I know a lot of people who have been through traumatic events and they come out numb. But me, I've come out still sensitive, still able to feel, still able to experience life willing. So this is to my loathing side. I've been called a bitch too many times to count. Men who are insecure, I'll steal their girl, call me a dyke in endless amounts. I've been called a hoe and slut by folks I've never even fucked. I've been called rude from those who don't appreciate I'm blunt. A mischievous child, I've even been called a slickster. I've even been called broke, but my pockets beg to differ. Sometimes my students accidentally call me mister, but that I can forgive. There's only one thing not to call me. Please don't call me sensitive. Being raised by men, that's the worst thing you could be. Because if you're ever going to make it in this world, turning off your emotions is key. Being sensitive means you care. Being sensitive means you cry. And even worse, being sensitive means you have a heart inside. Regardless of your gender, you better man up. You can't make it in this world unless your skin is thick and you're tough. But what does that mean for me as a child? Going through hardships and still forced to put on a smile. Like when I tear my knee in 3 places, ending my dreams of a basketball career, I have to take it for what it is and don't dare to shed a tear. When people I love drop like flies to gang life shootings and stabbings, I just pour one out and chalk it up to shit happens. And when I'm 11 and my mother happens to die, I say I'm going to be okay and I just have to bottle it up inside. But what does hate and being called sensitive look like as an adult? Not being able to be vulnerable is the ultimate result. Now I'm called heartless, an asshole, even insensitive, all resulting of me not being allowed to be soft as a kid. I'm emotionally unavailable to all of the world's gifts, even my own. Not being sensitive has caused me to feel nothing but empty and alone. Things hurt me and I refuse to admit it and speak up because it was always my life's mission to listen to my father and always remain tough. But now my inner child is screaming to speak up to anyone listening, so I'm begging somebody, please, call me sensitive. Poem. All right. I have one more to the fear and then one final poem. I endured an encounter when I was about 14 years old. I did live a totally different life. I'm an educator now, but a part of my journey, I was a wild child. And that life has led me into some deep, dark things, as the host said. But I always do this poem no matter the space because it honors my previous life before I stepped into where I am now. My first girlfriend ever was a longtime friend I had since I was a child. I didn't know what love was then, and I probably still don't know now. But now that I'm older, I know our souls were connected. So I sent to confirm plans using text message. We were supposed to go bowling, just a regular date. It's a routine at this point. Leave at 5, we get home at 8. She was older than me by a few years, so she had a later bedtime. But this night, she said it was a little different, so we were leaving closer to 9. It was a weekend, so who cares? We could stay out late. But the presence of a party interrupted our date. She promised and assured me that we'd be done in enough time to still bowl. She was older and had the car, so the plans were out of my control. I was going to give it an hour max before I started to get irritated. Plus, something in my spirit didn't feel right, and it was hard to explain it. We were supposed to go bowling, but the music was loud and thumping. A house that was supposed to hold 50 max had double that, so we started bumping. There were too many people, and people started to get mad. So did I, so I grabbed my girlfriend and my bag. Betty, I think we should really get going. Don't you remember we told your dad that we're supposed to go bowling? She pleaded with me with sweet eyes and said one more song. And as she said that, Drake's YOLO came on. Her puppy dog eyes convinced me, but instead of hearing a Drake verse, we heard glass shatter and people started to disperse. Bullet holes filled the wall and I was trying to find Betty. I told y'all we were connected, so something in my chest felt heavy. I had tunnel vision and I was on a mission to make it out this house without regretting my decision. Amongst all the chaos, I saw her standing by the wall. I'm confused why she's not leaving, so her name I start to call. But before my favorite name could leave my mouth, I looked at her instead and saw the gray sweater I buy her slowly start to turn red. A bullet directly in her heart, but the wound still remains in mine. We should have never went bowling and not crossed enemy lines. Had I known that instead of bowling strikes, a bullet was striking in my best friend's life, that wouldn't have been the fate that I would have chosen. Now to this day, I live with guilt that we should have went bowling. Poem. I have one more piece, and it is my ultimate fear. It is dating. Being young and attractive is the worst thing that ever happened to me. I can't take it anymore, truly. Dating is terrible. The dating scene is not just Las Vegas. It is everywhere. I've lived everywhere in the world. It is terrible. Except for y'all. Y'all make it, rubbing it in. It's crazy. I notice I'm so sure of myself. I'm finally stepping into my confidence. I know who I am. I know what I'm bringing to the table. But dating people, they don't even know who they are. They haven't even scratched the surface. So this is a poem dedicated to a coworker of mine who just wasn't sure. She wasn't sure. And it's been a theme within my life, dating folks who aren't sure themselves. And I get frustrated because I want them to be sure about me, but I can't really ask them to be sure of me when they're not even sure of themselves. So they're lost though. This one is called Weekday Blues. Monday, I knew from the moment I walked in, the girl with the brown skin and copper hair was destined to be my sin. But never shit where you eat, a message holding much weight. So I tried to play it cool and did my best to play it safe. But she approached me first. Uno card reverse. I was taking detours at work. Pickup lines were rehearsed. Tuesday, I found out D'Angelo's Lady was her fave. So by Wednesday, playlists were exchanged. I even doubled back to a store I went to on Thursday because I saw a plant she might like in a nursery. I asked how we could get in contact, so she gave her number to me. I thought about her for days, but I couldn't make it a week. I asked if she wanted to hang. It was first Friday, but I invited my brother, so it didn't seem like a date. She fit in well, and what made it better was compliments from strangers on how good we looked together. So we thrift shop up the blocks of my favorite city, and she said, I never knew downtown could be so pretty. Those feelings got me giddy. I'm arm in arm with my dream girl. Her nails would stroke softly and make my arm hairs curl. She had to spend the night because her car got locked in a lot. Look at the universe throwing me lies. We didn't get sleep because we stayed up and talked. We shared our deepest secrets and most intimate thoughts. We shared the same experience of having mothers we lost. Emotional intimacy let boundaries cross. Morning came, she had to go. Therapy at noon. She didn't want to say goodbye, so I said I'll see you soon. She invited me out that same night, and I ended up at her crib on a Saturday. Damn, I wanted her in the baddest way. Because the moment I saw her, and the moment we kissed with passion, I knew I wanted to wake up next to her and help take off her lashes. I wanted to see her messy bun as soon as I wake up. Ass down, face up. She was even pretty without makeup. But it's by Sunday she decides that this love affair just came at the wrong time. If we weren't co-workers, she would give this a try. If only circumstances were different. But she knew the circumstances before we did this. Now I got ideas on my Pinterest. Her on my wish list. She sold me a dream and then she jumped ship. I couldn't get over her face. I can't get over her touch. She crossed the line, but now I'm stuck. I know that boundary's valid given our profession, but that boundary's also blocking her biggest blessing. We went from see you soon to I see you when I see you. We talked about a baby girl naming her Maria. Maria being my middle name and Maria being her mother's. Now we walk past in halls like we don't see each other. I couldn't even send this poem like we didn't even meet. I tried to reach out, but blue message turned green. Unfollowed on everything. Damn, babe, it's like that, do you mean it? But people do crazy things fighting demons. But I wonder what her therapist said and what her group chat feels, and if she meant what she said and what we shared was real. She probably still listens to that playlist. But here's something to replace it. Baby, play this. How she left me feeling still has me in a daze. I just hate feeling like I was a phase. Her sexuality was a question mark. Now it's a period. I hate that I was one of her experiments. Because this is my real life, so everything I said, I meant it. But that was the last time my heart breaks off pretty privilege. Like, how I was supposed to get over her? I was just under her. We had so much in common, but it was just trauma bonding. Poem. Thanks, y'all.
Aaliyah, everybody, come on. Not bad for a first one. That was pretty awesome. Yeah, nice. It's always, we were at a poetry event this week, and one of the hosts said, we love fresh meat. We love a new poet, bring the new ones up. And so that was really nice. Thank you so much, Leah. All right. So fear and loathing. Oh, this is some fun stuff, huh? Sorry if you missed the sensuality one last month. We did last week, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that was hot. That was a hot one. This one, we're bringing it down. Next thing, we'll switch it up next time. Leave it on a high note. But nonetheless, I've got one for you before we bring on our next poet. This one is, sometimes when it comes to fear and loathing, we loathe ourselves, but there are those around us that kind of help us stay on track. And so this one's a little bit about that. The title of this is, I hate today, so I should say this. It's hard to breathe at this depth when you're gasping for the smallest breath. When your last thought is your thought accepting death. I wake up underwater, my only breath is my last. When I give up and give in, my eyes grasp at the past. It is you, I should have said. It was you that did breathe life back into this balloon of a head. I really don't know how I consistently submerge under so much pain with you to emerge. Like today, like before, like what I know will come. I would die under it all without you. I'm drowning. I'm drowned. I hate today, but I should say, without you, I am just air hoping to be something more than just stuck under what love that could be. All right. Okay. Boy, this next poet, is one of our hottest selling poets at our bookstore. And I have to tell all the poets from now on, put your sexy self on the cover. Because that really helps. That really helps some sales. Please help me welcome and Andrew Romaneli.
Yeah, sex still sells. It's called Why Else? Strolling, head up in the cold breeze, down lonely 7th, with a pint of my new creation. I call it topless in winter. I call it Janie Jump Juice. I reach a section of street where the lights have a falling out. A cruiser stops me, asks me where I'm headed. I see what's happening. I tell him flat, look, I'm kind of in a committed relationship trying to do right for once. Cop says, you getting cute with me? I says, why else would you stop me? This is called On Lerner Avenue. Walks, burdened knees that twist to a lucky music. Through need a little alleys, the dead echo, arms and loose, fall under slaughter. I pass children setting each other on fire. I see Amber Alert babies bosomed in bus stops alone. There are neck doves everywhere, snapped by love's hands. My gut expands. I'm a consumer. The hell hymns I hear hummed console the abysmal emerald devil whose sodden dates an expiration on every gasping, collapsed vein. I build a prison in a flash flood, pronounce my name as the foam of D-O-P-E. Mutilation warrants my body a clairvoyant boy and see. I shoplift breath from the corner of phantasmagoria. Water compress the flesh of faith, laid on the kisser of cosmogony to still a mercy of those that have lockered. Richest I drown, whole within hiddenness, to keep some poisons from climbing your lungs. Yet I'd yes please you just the same in this life, endless of oceans. You close your eyes so that no one can see you slip beneath, but I do. I see. I voyeur your want for death. It is a repetition, lapse you'll finalize in Olympic size. No one watches someone die once. This is called the Cape Man of Tarrytown, and Tarrytown is an apartment complex on Eastern. The Cape Man of Tarrytown is my lover. He is warmth within his queen grease bedsheet. He is Blake with his 4 or 5 teats, airy bit of eyes, affordable, pop tap, prophetic. I follow him to oh thank heaven for a little steel reserve. I follow him through blue tarp, knife open cans, across pages of shit paper periodicals. God, he calls in the lunch hour, crouched, speaking into a sewer. I'm thinking Peruvian. How about you? Across the street, I hear woofing out of a park beater, the bass duet in the end of Ascension. Distraction is how rapture gets slipped in. And just like Hat, I lost my lover in wind as good old sin claps its broad wings over Eastern. This is a request. It's called, this is from my book, so yeah, if you don't...
It's hard for us to have him keep his clothes on.
I
I told him classy, and he's like, I know. And I was like, wait, maybe a tie.
Yeah, well, I brought, but I was thinking just a bow tie. I'm like, yeah, it's been the most stressed I've been in months. This is called The Little of Many Orange Dreams. I have watched disappear behind your tongue, never to resurface in the heat lamp eggy light, where the crowns of our heads bob sleepily through back parking lots and talk radio. You kept passive, and I am to blame. With your mother's stolen underwear, I have dabbed at the viscous topaz trail, the runoff of your lips. I have spit into filters of Camel Wides, wasted the remaining solace of a free refill. I have popped early, late, and way beyond. You arrived the coolest thing to die. Your slim, white-scarred wrists rested over the red of your brow. Every corner of our bathroom peddled you a boom back. The one lone space we decorated stayed locked. I can hear your voice behind it. Years later, I am there now. We poured up our vessel confessor until it bottomed out, running ruddy and rank all over our nicotine patches and vegan cookbooks. With rosary beads instituted in my gums, I jawed in junkie constant as your fingers slipped into my mouth of manipulation that could not be held by my bite. The stones you placed at my deterioration as warnings at signs of visitation uncloaked the fractions of my teeth that gambled across the cheap coffee table. Your aunt sent us, therefore I cast her as villain. In your blooming fist, I'm a misshapen pomegranate, caked in crushed methadone, bloodied through your fingers. You taught me how to truly care for someone while being utterly disgusted by them. Called Smudged with Danger. I was working too many days, and there was little time for writing, and eventually my wine bottle miracled to 3, and it was so late I decided to get a head start on the next day, maybe sleep on the bus, but the differentia of lights at that hour, and the faces touched with loneliness, some smudged with danger, I became motivated, too alive to sleep, and I got further than closer, then everything like clarity and caution, doors are closing, along with watch your step, collided, and my world went moonless until some kid on his way to school kicked me in the gut because it was funny. Somehow I had the wherewithal to catch his ankle and twist. He fell with the added force of his weighted bag, and I swear I felt it laying there drunk on the concrete, along with the running underground, the lights, electric, Wi-Fi, hi-fi, the plumbing shit. I felt his nose bend the way I once felt a bully kid's face fold when he knew he hadn't a hand. And I half expected a pistol to come out of the pocket of one of these kids, but all they dropped as they ran, leaving the loser, was a Starbucks gift card and a bus pass. And I looked up, not at the sun, but the stupid street I was laying in, and realized if I get up now, I just might make it to work on time. But that kid was sobbing. Jesus, I said, maybe I should kick you. And as I thought of him like a soccer ball, my goal became to launch him into the adjacent parking lot. So I started towards him like a penalty kick. Instead, I keeled over, showering him in puke. Now I just had to give up and cry with him or hold him. And when I tried, he became a dog who whimpered at his abuser. Then he became a cat who ran away. Then I was alone with my nose bleeding, my face in puke, and the bus decides not to stop seeing my condition. I guess I'm going to be late after all. I'll close it up with this one. This is called The Search for Batman. Who went missing on September the 3rd? Police report filed on 9/11. Last seen off Ogden and 15th. Handsome. with a good-natured, hail fellow, well-met look. Batman is an African gray parrot. $1,000 reward, reads a poster on a pole outside Ferguson's. Now, most of us that live in the area ain't got no $1,000, need $1,000. That breathing room, month's rent, advance car payment, restitution, child support, Lord could grant $1,000. The money we could make with $1,000, all that we could lose with $1,000. Whole neighborhood can't not get in on it. Especially since the COVID checks quit. Plus, they say on the news the SNAP benefits are back in the bacon slicing machine. Batman, baby. The kind of future you and I can talk about. I make my rounds, rap with the smokers outside the Dragon Motel, who have been researching that type parrot, making a plan. Them birds can go for like $4,000, and if you tack on a sentimental value, shit, we can get more than $1,000, I bet. I run into Bobby Baby Gums, my sister from another mister. She's got it figured. See these hands, these fingers, these touch pads? They solicit petting. I give the best head scritches. Batman will come to me. We'll save each other. And Romaneli, you'll have exclusive rights to the poem. I go by the murder mart, watch bodily committees of meth, pace 11th, and chase every pigeon. Then there's the oldsters in the 211 lobby with their fold out into the chair walkers yapping on about Batman. They ain't catching shit, except a bitter perspective on the homeless, which they themselves are so close to being. At the Red Apple, people trying to get the owner to offer bird lime on the down low. I even catch the guy with the Sam's Town is Mason Town cardboard sign falling with his eyes every gray blur that flies by. Parents cast their children out into the streets, armed with photographic memory and a dream. Legally blind uncles stumble in the daylight. Wheelchair wheels pedal backward, eyes up. If a dream falls, where does it land? I read much of the bird's appeal comes from its talking ability, its repetition of words, phrases, after only hearing it once, twice. People on balconies whisper little come hither love poems to the clouds. They walk in the streets offering prayers or talk Tourette's directly into the sky. Little girl with mama passed out in front of a slot machine holds the flyer up in my face and reads from memory. Please do not chase, call, or whistle, as this may cause them to run in fear and into danger. Then with a small pink wadded piece of gum sticking out the side of her mouth, she asks, how they run? Don't they mean fly? The dead birds get picked up now, checked, their depressed feathered flesh pressed into, looking for one of them microchips. Batman, anywhere, nowhere, could already be dead. Like all promises of wealth, minimal or quick as it can be, Batman is impossible. After interest wanes and people move on to the next thing, I swear I see a young man weeping under a car-dented street lamp, and there was Batman watching over him. I hadn't the desire to make a move, call the number, or even warn him, because that bird looked like it was about to take a shit. Thank
you. All right, Andrew, everybody. It's funny. I read a little poetry last night at an event for Du Bois Magazine, which is having their local magazine that just started up here. And there's a poet that some of you in the audience definitely know, Harry Fragel. Police officer who's been doing poetry for ex-police officer who's been doing poetry for a long time, and he gets up and he screams into the mic like a powerful man, and it was in a house in a little tiny room, and he was on a mic, and it was just hardcore, and I was supposed to follow him. And I was going to come up and say, I feel like a ukulele player after a punk rock show. Luckily, they did have a break, and that's my point. We're going to take a break right now. We have a bathroom key. If you need it, please walk out, get some fresh air. We'll be back in 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes or so. Give you time to go to the bathroom, have another drink. But thank you all.
I gotta stretch a little.
Yeah, walk around. Come on, I can help. Just don't fall forward. Welcome back, y'all. We got a couple more poets for you, and I've got a couple myself that I'd like to slip in if I can. We're still in the same theme of fear and loathing, and so I'm always trying to check myself. And the last couple poems I think are kind of about that. And controlling your anger and how you deal with people and your frustration and how you don't loathe as much and try not to fear as much. So this one's called "You Looking at Me?" Let me start off by saying it's never my intent to do you or anyone any harm. That is, unless I think you deserve a poke or a prod, or a verbal stick in your proverbial fraud. It's not that I'm looking to feel angry inside about what you did or said and how it affected my mind. But sometimes it comes off like you're looking for a fight. And when I look into your eyes, I think I just might. Now look where we are. This is no fun at all. Thinking this way will be our downfall. So you go your own way and I shall go mine. And the next time we meet, may our moods be benign. All right. I'm excited about this next. We did kind of strong arm this next poet to come to our first events here, and she did. And she tried to get out of this next one. We stronged arm her again. So please join me welcoming up here Janice Parker. And hopefully she'll do another one with us. So.
Thank you. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have seen that meme that talks about, so-and-so understood the assignment. As I was listening to the first two poets, I got a little worried maybe I didn't understand the assignment. So when I saw the theme of fear and loathing, my brain automatically went to the book Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Hunter S. Thompson. So that was kind of what prompted me. I treat it as a writing prompt, and I wrote poems based on that. So the first thing about, if you haven't read it, it's really a whole drug-fueled journey. They have so many different drugs. They're trying to have fun. At some point it gets excruciating, but it's about this drug journey. So I started thinking about how when I was being raised, drugs were horrible. They were going to murder me. Bad things would happen. Fast forward to now when, now there's dispensaries all over, and I was all excited because I tried an edible for the first time. It was very exciting. I've done it a couple times since then, but I did kind of want to write about the experience. And just so you know, I was born and raised in Canada, because that might explain one of the lines on here. Okay, so this poem is called Me and My Edible. I met Mary Jane later in life, after my cardigan and kilt were donated, after I left the dormitory that raised me, after the shops became a more familiar sight. I tasted the once forbidden candy. After the first hour, there was only denial. I felt uncomfortably normal as I repeatedly checked the clock. Was I the unfortunate victim of an unsuccessful experiment? Had nature's ingredients lost their way to my receptors? Mary Jane is a lie. After the second hour, there was hyper-awareness. The room slanted to match the tilt of Mother Earth, while Father Time took a short nap. Deep within my marrow, I felt the slightest of icy tingles become tidal waves. Newly discovered colors smiled at me, while still pictures waved hello. Mary Jane is an artist. After the third hour came the excitable frivolity. I was flabbergasted at how unbelievably funny I actually was. I sang the chorus of my favorite songs and the Canadian national anthem in French. I move my limbs around in haphazard ways to experience the strangeness of them. Mary Jane is fun. After the 4th hour, I was overcome with rhapsody. I shared philosophical theories on the meaning of life, inspired by Apocalypse Now. I unleashed sonnets of undying love to my very amused husband. I connected with the universal flow by watching how my guinea pigs live their little lives. Mary Jane is a wise sage. After the 5th hour came the peaceful acceptance. The rotation of the ceiling fans provided a comforting breeze on my heated skin. My mind stopped talking so I could hear new sounds in my old favorite songs. My weightless body floated on top of my blanket like a sleepy cloud. Mary Jane said goodnight. Thank you. So, the other thing about that book by Hunter S. Thompson, even though it's all focused on drugs, is it's kind of talking about the death of the American dream. You know, and the American dream being the idea that with just a little luck and hard work, all of us can make it and prosper in America. So, spoiler, if you haven't read it or seen the movie, not exactly the case. Although the reason why it takes place in Las Vegas is the idea was that maybe Las Vegas is a place where this can still happen. You can win and suddenly there you are, you're on a whole new level of life. But that's not always the case. So this particular poem is about people that me and my husband have known that have gotten really caught in that gambling trap. So this is an amalgam of different things, but the items I'm talking about and the people I'm referencing are based on real life experiences. So this one's called At the Pawn Shop. Are you looking for something in particular? Are you browsing until something tempts you? We have all kinds of latent suffering for sale. We have the latest arrivals from the realm of desperation. We have what's trending on the latest misfortune feed. You don't want to miss out on the martyrdom by proxy. Are you looking for something priceless at a discount? Do you want to snatch the newest arrival in legacy items? This is a first pressing, unsealed Elvis album from the 50s, snatched from an unknowing relative's closet. This is an allegedly lost antique ring that once crossed the sea with a favorite grandpa. This set of silver cutlery was intended for the wedding of a grandson in a past life. All thanks to a lovely regular who funded her marriage to a one-armed bandit. Are you here for a preview of the eventually abandoned collateral? Do you want to salivate over the inevitably unclaimed pawn tickets? This is a title deed to a likely redundant Chevy pickup truck that runs very well. This unwanted child-sized acoustic guitar has only a few lessons strummed onto it. This jewelry once belonged to a fatigued wife who will never even notice that it's gone. All thanks to the man who guaranteed that the next big royal flush is imminent. Are you here to beseech me maybe for a knocked down bargain price? Do you want to try your luck at an equitable exchange? I'll accept any useful ingredients of your interrupted Vegas ambitions. I'll accept any trinket that has been carefully polished with lingering and vanished love. I'll accept any remnants left over after chasing that futile American dream. All unreasonable offers will be considered because eventually you will be bought. Thank you. So, in looking at this phrase, because I'm a nerd, I felt the need to Google it and find out if there was an origin, which there was. So there's a dictionary definition. I'm going to give a truncated version, which fear and loathing as a phrase refers to the type of anger and distress generated when politicians disagree or clash with the people they're supposed to represent. And I thought, wow, isn't that a timely definition? So that's what I started thinking about as a woman of color in this particular country, and that it's at a point where we're having to speak up and talk about the things that we want and how we see things and our rights. But even doing that is hard because I spent a lot of my life being told to, keep quiet, don't cause a fuss, this is how it's supposed to be. So this poem is kind of about fighting that urge and trying to learn to speak up. So this is called Visit from My Demon. I was half asleep on the sofa when it happened. My shy demon quietly returned, blushing at the extended absence. timid in her unscheduled approach. Tugging at some familiar memories, my demon embraced me with counterfeit love. She said, "Just keep sleeping and dreaming in comfort. If you stay fast asleep, you can't be woke. And with eyes closed, you will find that secret place where everyone is happy and the script is perfect. Bliss from the locked up emotions and bitten tongues," she said. I said, "Silence is not optional when I am the leading lady in this movie. Breathing as a 21st century woman is performance art, meant to expose the long-planted lie of an inevitable progress by simply following the faded rules on the back of the box, which are instantly rewritten once the finish line is attainable," I said. She said, "You're too late, or too early, or too crazy, anyway." I said, "There is never a good time to throw a tantrum or have a breakdown anyway." She said, "Have you forgotten the who, what, when, where, and why?" I said, "How about me too? Us, now, here, and why the fuck not?" She said, "No one listens when the screaming is too loud and too long." I said, "The silent screaming in my head is loud enough to shake the earth." She said, "You've changed." I said, "I'm supposed to." I was half asleep on the sofa when it happened, when she finally left. Thank you. Okay, so this last one is kind of a mix of that, lost American dream, drug-fueled trip, and that disagreement between what the government and the people want. But it's all in the context of Alice in Wonderland because I'm a big fan of that. The room that I write in is themed in Alice in Wonderland, and that is why I wore my little Alice in Wonderland dress today. Okay, so this one is called Loathing in Wonderland. Something new lights my spark of loathing. Every day, every day, every day. Within the walls of someone else's American dream, nor feel safe when I'm surrounded by false hearsay, and the millionaire neighbors won't let me just scream. So my soul suffers from the deepest kind of poverty, just decay and decay and decay. Cast as the unwanted intruder within Wonderland's map, because true diversity can never live here anyway, and the Red Queen's tarts are just bait for the grind trap. So I'll consume the bottles labeled "Eat Me" and "Drink Me." Fall away, fall away, fall away. Down this dark rabbit hole for short yet infinite hours, where I can escape into art's embrace and child's play with a high caterpillar, a floating cat, and some talking flowers. So that refreshed I can return with righteous indignation and play croquet, play croquet, play croquet. Strengthened from the communal tea party hosted by the mad, nourished by the shared empty plates of empathy's buffet, and armed with my story and my pen and my notepad. Thank you. Thank you, Shwa, for strong-arming me.
I just want to point out, Janice Parker thinks she is a lawyer, but she's actually a poet. So let's just continue to remind her of that. And you did not miss the assignment. You kind of hit it on the head. The rest of us didn't want to write new shit like you did. So,
because I love drugs too.
Yeah, you know. Well, then you're gonna love our next poet, who may have written some new stuff, but it's always themed. And he's one of our favorite poets. We published his book and sold out of the first one. We did a second edition, and it's even glossier and sexier than the first edition. Unlike my poet right now. Garrett, James, Dillon, please come on up.
Oh, fuck you.
Don't follow anybody. I need you to read through.
I got it. That's how we do it. How are you folks doing tonight? Excellent. Before I get started, I got to give a big thanks to Shwa and Sugar, of course, and also to the Office of Collecting. But more important than that, before I read, I want to hear a round of applause for everyone else that read tonight. That was just an amazing set. I refuse to continue. All right, that's good. As Shwa said, my name is Garrett James Dillon. I'll put this over here after I pour this. My poetry book, Reflections from the Haze, is available right next door to Avantpop, signed. We also have my most recent publication, which is a Choose Your Own Adventure style, but all the choices involve the drugs that you take. So, Orange Beanie Man, you better go buy that shit. Much like Janice, I also found the assignment to be a bit ambiguous. So what I have done is I've compiled one poem about fear, a couple about loathing, and then a few in the milieu of our dearly departed Hunter S. Thompson.
Woo!
Let's get a round of applause for the man, Jones as it is. His writing is the reason that I went to college, and his lifestyle is the reason that I dropped out. So, I'll just get you started here. This first poem is an old one that I had to update. Times have changed since high school. I had to change dime bag to 8-ball. So, here we go. This first one is called Fueled by Fear 2023. Fear is flashing lights in your rear view when your breath is flammable. It's the 8-ball in your pocket when their dogs come sniffing. Fear is a razor blade caked in resin and speed, in a box cutter clenched in a fist that's had enough. Yes, fear will keep you going when hope is comatose and faith is long dead. Oh, that's the punctuation. I should clarify. Anytime I take a drink, that's when the poem is done. So, I only had one about fear. Let's move on to the loathing. I'm far more comfortable with that. There we go. This next one is called, this is another old one. It's called Obituaries and Champagne. So, I binge on hatred, counting down inevitable suicides, useless blood flow withering away. Salivating for vengeance. My heart is on fire, my feet tapping impatiently until they can dance on your grave. Some days, loathing is all I can live for. Keeping an eye on the obituaries and a bottle of champagne ready and waiting. Yeah, I like catching up. I like that a lot. All right, let's see here. We're moving right into loathing here. This next poem is dedicated to the religious right. It's called Lion's Food. All right. Oh, to be godless in a godly place, blessed against our will by minority rule mandate, and anointed in gunpowder on a weekly basis. Yesterday grips a garrote behind you. The men of God flash their teeth in a smile and wait with a saint's patience to hear the gnashing of yours. Here in the land of coat hangers and confession booths, of broken promises and crumbled walls, where men in robes speak for God but hear only cash registers trying their damnedest to trade sodomy for segregation at the courthouse, their sacred salvation cooked down to a campaign slogan to be dispatched as gospel in trademark pogrom cadence. There are no heretics amongst them. No deviants from some lost righteousness to rethread the narrative. No better angels to grovel to under this blinding light. No. God's America is functioning exactly as it was intended to. The snake handlers have quit gambling and embraced the Gadsden shuffle. Those who speak in tongues whisper power to a more universal language. The Calvinists preach predestination with a cheat sheet in their pocket, and the priests lick their lips as they count fresh meat orphans like rosary beads in the dark. These are truly the men of Jehovah, the God who drowned his children as they clawed at the ark, whose chosen people he let be enslaved and paid for their freedom with innocent blood, who raped a child so his only son could be tortured to death for his own failures, who blessed us with diseased life and then cursed us to be cured of it. And every knee shall bow. Woo! Thank you, I'm very good. All right. This next one is dedicated to everybody who had an ex who almost destroyed them, but they decided to keep on going. And I have a feeling that there might be a couple people here. So here we go. This one is called in your ruins. This one actually rhymes. Your life is an abandoned building, rotting and decaying, feeble foundation betraying your worthless walls and empty filling. The lights are on, but no one is home. It's got broken windows and creaks when the wind blows. It might as well be glass, but I'll throw no stones. See, I'm no longer a resident of that cursed tenement, so why commission a demolition when its collapse is surely imminent? And in your ruins I'll dance evermore. To rejoice in your rubble will have been worth all the trouble that started the day I first opened your door. Right on. This next one is festive. It's holiday themed even. I'm not a person that really engages in moderation as a concept, but the last 3 months of the year, all bets are fucking off. So this one is called My Favorite Time of Year. I was aiming for the jack-o'-lantern, but missed by about 3 feet, the bullet instead piercing the flesh of some everyday monster. It's time to put the razor blades in the candy. Soon fading fast into celebrating genocide with gluttony, benzo-induced food comas, and family blackout episodes. Before you know it, I'll be tying the Christmas night lights into a noose and setting nativity scenes ablaze. Then I'll be kissing the baggie at midnight on New Year's, contributing Molotov cocktails to the strip fireworks show before resolving to be a better person for the next 9 months. There's something about my favorite time of year that brings out the worst in me. Oh, yeah. Y'all got it. All right, there we go. This poem is actually very new. It was completed yesterday, and once again, this is a dedication to Hunter S. Thompson and just the idea that we're all going to die, so fuck it, you might as well live. This one is called, it's also inspired by an Acid King song of the same name. It's called Drive Fast, Take Chances. Drive fast, take chances, on freeways and back streets, in parking lots and around the curves of mountains, with the music turned up as loud as it can and something else besides the tire burning. Accelerate ecstatic through evening traffic, sharp turns and dying yellow lights. Forget about your brakes, but remember to check your rear view for pigs. Hurl yourself home or toward some other strange construct you have no reference for. Stay stocked with a vape pen for traffic jams and a case of whippets for red lights. Keep the window down and snort the smell of fresh air and gasoline, but be sure to roll it back down if you need to put anything else up your nose. Adrenaline addiction is a hard one to beat, or at least so I'm told. It's one of the few I've never even considered giving up. I've got too many places to be, including a grave, and I'll arrive at each one screeching sideways with a tank empty and a cab full of smoke. It is the only way to get around. Y'all are too kind, honestly. Here we go. So this is the last one. And this is kind of actually a blend. It's both gonzo in the sense that I wrote it on far too many drugs, but it also speaks to the most pure type of fear, which is paranoia. Now, whether you've ever reached that because of drug abuse, mental illness, or sleep deprivation, or some unholy combination of the three, it cannot be ramified with logic. You're going to need lorazepam. So this one is called Untitled. Bled dry and begging for the sunrise, I wring out my sleeves for leftover tricks, hoping for a loose hoping for some counterfeit salvation, or at the very least, a loose Seroquel. But find nothing except battery acid and bullet casings, glass eyeballs, and loaded dice. Wasted wreckage like relics to be hoarded and worshipped by headless mannequins frozen in obscene poses as they wait for their chance to scream. The enemy of my enemy is my only friend now, as the butterflies embrace cannibalism and the shadows dance in agony down unnamed roads littered with crosses and confetti towards treasures too terrible for our pitiful language to describe. The madmen who once raved about Armageddon in the streets have all gone mute and speak to us instead by the way of a dead, unblinking stare, the color of diseased milk stretching 99 miles in every direction. It is the only joke left to laugh at and the only gospel left to suffer for. It is the only promise that cannot be broken and the only truth that will ever set you free. Now I keep clapping. I'm not off the stage yet. I mean, come on. There you go. All right.
We're just glad he was able to get to the stage. Last time. We didn't want to put him last. Unfortunately, that's how it went, and I'm glad he was still here. Especially since this is the month he's taken off cocaine. So, I'm glad. Yeah, you see, he was open to it. That's funny. Anyways, thank you all. I will leave you with one last poem, and then we can all shuffle off this evening. It's been a great second season. We've had some amazing poets. We record all these. My wife is the editor, and she refuses to do the full edit until we've got time, which we haven't had. You can see clips on YouTube and on Instagram. Hopefully before the end of the year, we'll be able to put up the full videos of everybody, because we've had some cool poets, as some of you know, who've come. We want to get the whole video up. But we also run a bookstore, produce 3 different events, and try and make love as often as possible. So it's tough. It's tough. This last one is what I would call a list poem, catalog poem. It just kind of goes down some thoughts that I have, and I have to question myself sometimes with these thoughts, just to kind of put myself in check. The title of this poem is called "I'm a Nice Person." Condescending, belittling, patronizing, demeaning, fight-picking, thought-poking, pushing it, sarcastic dick, fucking with, and starting shit. Ask yourself, am I doing any of this? I'm a nice person. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming out.